Good evening. I'm David Susskind. A few years ago, we did a show called How to Be a Jewish Son with Mel Brooks, David Steinberg, George Siegel, among others. It was wonderfully funny and zany. And of all the shows we've done, people seem to remember this one very vividly. And they keep asking us to repeat it. So we've decided tonight to replay it. Although some of the references are dated, the comic genius of Mel Brooks, it never dates. He is indeed funnier today than ever. When we return, How to Be a Jewish Son. Tonight our show is called How to Be a Jewish Son, or My Son the Success. It should be an evening of fun. First, Mel Brooks, writer, director, one of the major talents of our time, and also one of the funniest men I know. His films, The Critic and The Producers, have won him 2 Academy Awards. His latest picture, The 12 Chairs, has just opened to great notices.
Schönen Dank.
Our next guest is a former journalist, comedian, and television announcer. Larry Goldberg has found fame and fortune as the Pizza King of New York. Although busy writing a cookbook and opening up new pizzerias, Mr. Goldberg longs to get back into show business. Dan Greenberg is a novelist and a screenwriter who wrote the best-selling book, How to Be a Jewish Mother. Mr. Greenberg has just completed his first venture as an actor in the forthcoming film, Doc. George Siegel, who smokes a lot, is a first-rate actor. His screen credits include Ship of Fools, King Rat, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and Loving. He is currently starring in The Owl and the Pussycat and Where's Papa, in which, incidentally, he plays a Jewish son desperately trying to get rid of his mother. Designer Stan Herman is one of the owners of Mr. Mort, a swinging fashion house. Mr. Herman has won both the Cody and the Winnie Awards and is currently moonlighting as an actor in a very popular television commercial.
Winnie?
The Winnie, that's a fashion award.
The Winnie Award?
Finally, David Steinberg is a rabbi's son and now a writer-comedian. A frequent guest on television variety shows, Mr. Steinberg starred in his own series and has hosted The Tonight Show many times. He is now writing a musical comedy, several movie scripts, and has numerous television projects in the works. Now, about Jewish mothers.
Forget about Jewish mothers. Let's talk about sharks.
Sharks?
Sharks.
What are sharks going to do?
No, we were talking about sharks.
The shark will never harm you.
Yes.
The shark is a benign creature of the sea. Of course, if you thrash about in the water, or if you wear shiny bracelets, the shark will be attracted to you. On occasion, the shark has followed people out of the water and has gone to their blanket and eaten their beach ball. One time, the shark followed my brother Irving home on the Brighton Local and rang. Upon being admitted to the apartment house, the shark entered his apartment, apartment 4B, and ate his entire family and a brand new hat in my brother's closet. Apart from that, the shark is a pussycat.
We got to get back to Jewish mothers.
Yes.
Let me tell you about my mother, my Jewish mother.
All right.
She's about that big. She's the Michael Dunn of mothers. Fantastic mother. I have never seen, to this day, I lived with my mother for a good 22 years, intimately. You know, you're living with her.
Well,
I have never seen my mother's furniture to this day. I have never seen it.
why?
Because on every piece of furniture and on the lamps is a sheet to keep the dust.
Okay.
Right, to keep dust off the furniture. But what really is criminal is that my mother has 4 great paintings, which we've never seen. We don't know what they are. She has a sheet over each painting.
She sounds like a very...
And how about your mom?
She's lovely. I'll come to her.
Yeah, she's a pussycat, and she does the gavat. One of the Jewish ladies.
Do you have any throbbing memories of your mother, Dan?
Most of them are throbbing and filled with guilt.
What is the nature of a Jewish mother? Is she special? You wrote a book about the Jewish mother.
Yes, well, the Jewish mother, I think, is an expert on instilling guilt into people and manipulating it and so on. My own mother, when I came back for the first time from moving to New York, to Chicago, and was telling about the wildlife in New York, and was remarking to a bunch of the family about a party at which was smoked marijuana, and my mother kind of remained impassive throughout the whole thing. And then afterwards she came up to me and she said, this marijuana, you smoked it? And I said, oh, no. And she said, good, because you know how allergic you are.
She wasn't upset at the wild nature of the party? The women were there?
No.
You come from Kansas City,
Yes.
right, Larry? How are mothers out there?
Well, Jewish people in Kansas City go underground. You know, like in New York, all the Gentiles are Jewish. So in Kansas City, so all the Jewish people are Gentile. So we had a little grocery store, Goldberg's Market, and she used to tell me to eat and eat until I started putting on a lot of weight. But, you know, Jewish people in Kansas City, as soon as the door is closed, they really become Jewish. So I kept eating and eating until she said, stop eating for a while, and then I weighed 320 pounds. So it was too late.
You really did? 320 pounds from your mother's instruction?
Yeah, but then I started losing weight. Now I'm 160. But she just said, keep eating and eating and eating.
Well,
You look terrific.
Well, I don't feel so good, but it's...
you're currently starring in Where's Papa?
Yes, sir.
In which you try to do away with your mother by a variety of means.
Yes.
Some physical and violent.
Yes.
Did you have any particular identification with that part?
Complete.
Complete.
Complete identification. It has nothing to do with my mother,
Right.
Ruth Gordon.
Right.
Well, actually, Ruth Gordon has something to do with my mother, but the character that she plays has nothing to do with the character that my mother plays.
Right. Could you explain that?
It is the story of a man who's still at 38 or whatever, still living with his mother, which I assume is a mother's dream.
Yes. God knows.
A mother's dream is to be under the chuppah with you.
No, please.
The chuppah
No. This is television. When you were...
Well, just explain what the chuppah is. It's not dirty. If you were a Jew, you'd understand, David.
Go ahead.
If you hadn't segued out so early. A chuppah is a little kind of tent that is held by 4 people, usually the immediate family. They're invited to the eats later. And under this tent, you are married in an Orthodox Jewish ceremony. So when I said your mother would like to be under the chuppah, she'd really like to be wed unto you. That's all. I mean.
Oh, I thought it was
Right.
worse than that.
It's not under the sheets, under the chuppah.
No, all right. Did the character, your mother, it was such a clinging, suffocating...
Oh, you were looking past me.
No,
You
I
were
was-
looking right at him. Sorry.
All right, George.
Yes.
He has a bad thing.
Your mother, Ruth Gordon,
Yes.
was such a suffocating, wretched lady.
Yes.
Is that characteristic of the Jewish mother, do you think?
Well, I am not an authority on the Jewish mother.
No.
I, after all, grew up in Great Neck. I had a dog, a collie dog, which is a Gentile thing to have. I had a 24-inch bike, and I rode around the neighborhood with the dog. So, and I didn't eat much, and she didn't care. So I'm not an authority in that
Wait a
area.
minute.
You're not even
Wait a
a
minute.
Are you Jewish?
A 24-inch bike?
That's a short one.
It was always...
That's a short bike.
A 24-inch
What was
bike?
it was called? No.
24 inches short.
What is he talking
26 is
about?
medium,
24 inches.
I always had a 24 bike even when I was 18 or 19.
But that must be the size of the wheel. I mean, the whole bike can't be 24 inches.
It's 24 inches high.
24
I think we're off.
I think
We're off on a
all the guys
digression.
all had a 28.
Good,
I had
George.
a 28 and I'm like 4'2".
Stan Herman.
Yes.
You're how tall?
I'm 5'2", 3,
Right.
and I had a 28 bike. That's been a problem for me, stretching my legs.
And chafing.
Yes, very.
Stan,
Yes.
how does your mother feel about your being a fashion designer?
How does she feel about my...
Mothers don't rear their sons to be fashion
No,
designers.
they don't. She's got lots of relatives who love it, though. They live very close by. She accepts it now. I'm very successful. She accepts it. You see, David, I had 2 mothers. My first mother gave me piano lessons, gave me all the artistic things that I wanted. My second mother decided she'd take the piano out, and as Mel said, we had a small house, Mel, and upstairs...
Not 24 inches.
No, but we had a like a small chamber that she came upstairs. She took off the doors so that it looked bigger. Yeah, my bedroom had no doors, Have you ever slept in a
No,
bedroom without doors?
That's so that you don't do private things.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's what it's all about.
Right.
And on top of that, she took the lock off the John door. I spent my whole life like this. Against the John door.
Did you ever talk about this with her?
Well,
No.
what did you do? You had seconds
I'm telling her
flushing.
now over television.
You never discuss. You have to do it here on a television
I
show.
had to do it on television show, yes.
Stan, did you ever say, Mom, wouldn't it be nice to have a bathroom door?
No, we did
For
have the
both our
door.
sakes.
We had the door. We didn't have the lock. I don't know whether there was a lock problem in Passaic, New Jersey, but we just didn't have the lock on the door.
Did it tend to open?
Tend to open all the time. Most embarrassing moments.
So you never had a normal
No.
boiler?
No. No doors, no locks.
Right. I'm coming right back to David Steinberg after this pause. David Steinberg,
David Susskind.
Checkmate, right?
do you have any particular burden having been born in a very religious household? Your father was a rabbi.
Yes. A burden. There are two things that I never really think about, and that is my mother and transvestites.
Could you tell me why you choose not to think of
I
those?
don't know, David. I just never thought of it before. You know, my mother, I don't think about my mother that much, you know.
Is she living?
Yes, I mean, we haven't spoken in the last 5 minutes, but no, she's alive. I have dreams, you know. I have dreams, as we all do.
What are some of your dreams?
I'm in the middle of this gigantic ocean, and I'm on a huge luxury liner. And there's no one on board the entire ship except me and my mother. And I shall go on. We're in this grand ballroom,
Yes.
and we drink seltzer from Jeroboam's, you know. And we dance till dawn. I'm 3 and she's 52. And I'm just about to get her in my crib. And I wake up. And I just like everyone else, you know?
Over and over, that dream.
Yeah. Every night, every Tuesday, usually.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
As a, a lay analyst,
I beg your face.
how would you feel about that dream?
Well, you can see that the filth, the disgusting dirtiness, we won't talk about that aspect. But the other things are very interesting. For instance, he says, we were all alone on a luxury liner. Well, that can be interpreted very simply in Freudian terms as two people being alone on a luxury liner. See, that's what
I
that
never would
means.
have thought of it that way.
See, that's the meaning
Yes.
behind that.
Yes.
And the other thing is the ocean. The ocean is absolutely fetal stage. Fetal, meaning that your feet are in the ocean, right? So therefore, there is a salt water connotation to that. That probably gargling with salt water brings on a sense memory of being inside mama at a very early age, right? So analyzing it, I would say, it's very hard to figure out because a dream is vapor. And vapor is difficult to coalesce, so to speak.
I'm glad I asked you that.
Yes.
Clears up the whole dream. Dan, you in your book, you deal with such things as how to administer the third helping, how to make guilt work.
Yes.
Could you explain how a mother makes guilt work?
Well, for instance, I can tell you the effect it's had on me. For instance, I'm now 34 years old, which is a fairly old age for a person who must finish every single thing on his plate and everything on everybody else's plate at the table. And even in restaurants, it gets embarrassing, going to other people's tables and saying, oh, listen, could you,
Does your
if
mother
you're not
say-
going to eat that, I would be very glad to take it home in a bag. It's very embarrassing.
Does your mother say that carrot on your plate is so lonely for the carrot in your stomach?
Yes, yes.
That's
The other curious thing that has happened, which I attribute to my mother, is that I feel anthropomorphic about things like waste paper. I know, that's right. Filth and light talking on the show. Waste paper I cannot throw out because I feel it is a rejection of the waste paper. And so I save sheets of waste paper. Cardboard I save, string, Old manila envelopes, which I use again. I've never sent out or bought a new manila envelope. If you get a thing from me,
I've received scripts from you.
Yes,
Very
with things
old.
crossed off
Yes.
on it. It's terrific. Applesauce sauce jars.
Applesauce jar?
Empty buffering bottles.